Hello, everybody! You're listening to The Survivor Brothers, the ultimate unofficial podcast from your friends at TV Guide. I'm your Survivor-obsessed host, Fox Van Allen, and joining me today, right here in studio, believe it or not, is the amazing, the only Jeff Probst. Hello, Jeff.
It's good to be here. Come on in, guys.
Not to insult you, Jeff, but your voice sounds an awful lot like Lance's.
It's lucky for him, then.
Yeah. So this is a very special Halloween episode of the Survivor Brothers.
Oh, is that why this is happening?
Yeah. So we dressed up today, I'm dressed as Final Fantasy VIII hero Squall Leonhardt, and Lance is dressed up as Jeff Probst, looking good with his fishing shirt and his shark tooth necklace.
The Probst stare.
Yeah. You're looking like a little busted can of biscuits there, Lance.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
It is.
5'2" and a busted can of biscuits.
Busted can of biscuits. Okay, so
I'm not actually 5'2", though.
Yes, so we have a great episode for you here today because we watched a great episode of Survivor.
Best episode of the season.
Sat down with my box of donuts, enjoyed the episode, and fittingly enough for Halloween, it looks like the Lairo tribe came back from the dead. But the question is, should they have stayed dead? And we'll also talk about the goings on over on the other tribe with Jamal and Dean and Jack.
Yeah.
Very, very important episode.
A lot went down.
Yeah, so let's get right into it, Lance. So where we left off last time, right, was that Tom, our NHL player from Canada, Tom, former NHL player, went home, leaving just Dean and Karishma over there on New Lairo. And it looks like Noura of all people, she is ready to make a move. She's
been ready to make a move this whole game, right?
She has. She does not care for Jamal and Jack. She thinks they're running the show, and she wants to put together a coalition that would be her, Dean, and Karishma. Put together all the women plus Dean, and get rid of Jack and Jamal.
The all-star team.
Yes, yeah. And Dean, speaking of an all-star, Dean here, Dean thinks about it for a moment and says to himself, Noura is so crazy, there is no possibility I can ever work with her. And goes to talk to Jamal instead.
So he finds the crack, which is a huge deal.
Yes.
And then just spills all the beans to Jamal.
Yes, Noura apparently a huge crack. And so what do we think of this move here, Lance? Because this is a big deal, because he has a choice to go with either Noura against the leadership of Vokai, right? Or with the leadership of Vokai against Noura. And he chooses Jamal. So what do we think?
I think it's the smart move. Just from seeing Noura, he obviously knows Noura a little bit, calls her crazy. It's not somebody I would really want to align with, It's, you say yes, you nod your head a little bit, but after that, you go straight to Jamal. I think that was the right move. What do you think?
Yeah, they had a great moment there where they're both, where Jamal's like, yes, just to be clear, yes, she absolutely is crazy. You are 100% correct on that.
See, that's, any way you can, bond, find anything relatable, that just makes you stronger, and they're, bonding over Noura.
Yeah, and Dean's got some work to do here, right? Because Dean is he is in the minority in the overall game, but also on his tribe. He down in the numbers there with Karishma, and Karishma's already said like she's all in on Vokai. So Dean's the one who stands the biggest chance of going home here. So he's got a big decision to make, and I really think he makes the right move here. I think he does. Getting together with Jamal, maybe it's not going to work out so well for him if they go back to tribal next week.
Yeah.
But if they make it to the merge, I love this here because Jamal is definitely going to need Dean and people like Dean to be in his corner, and Dean is going to need people like Jamal to be in his corner. And I think if they wind up protecting each other, that's going to be great for both of them. So I think it was great.
They're both physical threats as well, and so that just makes them even stronger if they can, survive.
Yeah, I think, you want to keep shields around. And I think they're going to both be shields for each other, I think. I know a lot of people are probably going to want to go after Dean once he gets to the merge.
Oh, yeah.
Because he looks like a physical threat, although he does come through pretty much in this immunity challenge coming up.
Say what you want about him. He can shoot. He's got the shooting touch.
Yeah, but it's no good being both in the minority and being a physical threat when you get to the merge. That is trouble. So he needs to do something, and I love it. Meanwhile, at Vokai, right? We've got a 4-4 split. And we had a lot of foreshadowing last week with Elaine and Missy and Aaron. Missy and Aaron are done with the old Lairo, but our good friend Elaine here, she wants to stick with it.
She wants to ride on her stallion and save her people.
Yeah, she wants to stay Lairo strong. It may be the only chance that they have to have the numbers in the game. And Elaine's ready to go to rocks. But it seems no one else is. Yeah, maybe Elizabeth.
Missy and Aaron, absolutely no way. They're saying, yeah, we'll go rocks, but there's no way. They were ready to flip.
They were jumping ship before the ship even began to sink.
Oh, yeah. Missy was just done.
Yes.
So, as we've said before.
Yeah.
And so, getting her back on the train and Aaron's a little difficult.
Well, she just wants those W's, right?
Yeah.
They just want to win. Yeah. And they're so desperate to win.
They're power hungry.
Yeah. I think we've seen now 8 challenges or so in the show between the two tribes, and Lairo's only come out on top twice. Yep. And by this point, and when we get to the reward challenge, that they haven't even had that second win yet. They've only won once.
Yeah.
So it's what 1 for 6.
Yeah. But doubling up your win.
Yeah.
Can't be mad about that.
Yeah. So they that's kind of setting up what's going to happen. What's going to happen later. But we get
we did get some foreshadowing though.
We do
in the Vokai tribe with Jason saying it's all good in the hood, but is it though?
Well, it turns out that the things are a little bit shaky in the hood. And we'll come back to that later. And the thing that causes it to go shaky in the hood is actually this reward challenge, and not so much the chickens, which are a fantastic prize, especially if you can figure out which ones are the male and which one are the female.
Yeah, which
right?
one's the rooster again?
I don't know. It's I wouldn't know how to figure that out either. Yeah, I know, right? City folk. But the initial moment when this challenge begins, they've got to choose someone to sit out because the Vokai has to choose someone to sit out because they've got one person advantage now, and they choose Elaine. And rather than sit out, Elaine goes to the island of the idols. And this is pretty much best case scenario for Elaine and worst case scenario for every single Vokai person.
Yeah, you can't have it work out better than that.
Yeah.
Just as we get into it, with what the Island of the Idols challenge was, like it really was just like the perfect script, the perfect storm.
Yeah, and not just because it was a Lairo, but specifically because it was Elaine, because Elaine is the one who is the most pro Lairo. Had it been, Aaron or Missy, almost certainly wouldn't be because they're great in challenges, right? You're going to want to keep them around.
And Aaron and Missy were pretty much serving up Elaine. It's like you can have her, get rid of her, just not one of us.
Right. I mean, she really does seem to be the best choice here to sit out, just because the rest of the team is very physical. I mean, and not that Elaine isn't physical, but they just have. I mean, everyone's great, so it's tough to choose who to sit out.
I think I don't really blame them for that decision. Yeah. Just the way it was working out. Plus, you knew that in the next challenge you're gonna have to sit somebody out. So
yeah. So the challenge begins, and again, it actually looks like it's pretty close to start, which is unusual.
Yeah.
Usually it's Vokai with a huge lead, but they do kind of neck and neck.
They had a little bit of a lead, and then they came back.
This whole sled business where they're carrying Jack and Aaron along, and Jack they take an early. Lairo actually takes the early lead.
Yeah, Jack hits his first shot.
An
impressive shot, but then Aaron just dominates. Like you could just tell that this is something like he was born to do.
Yes.
And Probst even was like, he's going all the way back, or I said that, but it was impressive for Aaron. You've been on this island for 2 weeks now. You got to be, especially a guy like him, you got to be tired and losing some muscle and stuff. For him to kind of dig into his reserves and pull that off and just knock those things out real quick, that was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell how badly he wants it. I mean, he just wants to win. Like he just after so
wants
many,
to win, and he wants that protein.
After so many, just sitting through so many losses, like you gotta be so hungry for a win, and finally he got the tools to do it.
One thing I did notice in that. If you don't just focus on Aaron and you focus on the people in the tribe behind who are like rooting him on, Missy is kind of like she's actually like shooting the thing. She's so intense. She's got like her hands on her knees. She's yelling. It was like a really cool thing to see from Missy, who is so intense and everything, but it's really fun. And you could tell how much her and Aaron really care about winning.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a great reward there. You get a couple chickens. I don't know how often that they lay eggs, but eating the chicken, that part's tasty, right?
Yeah.
So
as long as they don't screw that up too.
Yeah. So Vokai comes out with the win here. But really, it's kind of like a win and a loss, given that Elaine's heading off to the island of the idols, and Elaine is sad that she doesn't get to participate, even though it's already been decided she's not going to participate.
You could just tell her back and forth with me, Probst. You could just tell Probst, like her.
Yeah,
it's just they're on a different level. And how can you not like Elaine? She's just amazing. She's a quote machine, and she's just fun.
Yeah. Even Sandra. Sandra falls in love with Elaine when she arrives to Island of the Idols. In fact, Sandra posted a tweet the other night saying that Survivor really needs to release more of the Elaine visit and the Noura visit as secret scenes, because apparently these were amazing visits.
I bet.
So we get some great moments that we do see on this.
Absolutely. One thing I thought was interesting before we really dig into it is that Elaine was so impulsive, but so was Noura. Yeah. And just the way they kind of reacted differently to the two being impulsive, I thought was really interesting.
It's two very different types of impulsive, right? Because I think Noura just has this like air about her where it's just, you look at her and she's just a little bit crazy. Yeah. Like, can I work with her? Dean says no. Everybody else says no. Jason says yes, but only because Noura was kind of like, he felt like he owed Noura, right? He said that. But she's tough to work with. It's someone who's firmly on the bottom, that does not really have any kind of social pull with the tribe. I mean, we saw it when she was trying to be the caller. When Noura, the tribe just shot her down, and it wasn't even a nice shot down. It was just no. Yeah, it's just hard no.
I mean, that's how you got to do it, though.
Yeah, well, you got to do it. Yeah. But yeah, things.
But also with Elaine, like the way that they gave her a ticking clock and everything. So it was kind of like you have to say yes real quick, because I don't know if anybody noticed, but when Boston Rob was kind of discussing everything, the sand was already gone. So the way he was, like, I don't know how much time was in between that, but he might have been discussing that whole, like, the challenge that whole time, and she would have ran out of time anyway.
It does not look like there was going to be a lot of time, and we don't know exactly how much, because Boston Rob says here when Elaine's arrived that she probably won't know exactly what her task is before she agrees to it, right? But Elaine, rather than wait for any information, she's ready to go. She's ready to go.
She's there for the experience.
Which I guess is maybe the right answer on a season where there's not a negotiation going on. To be fair, she doesn't know there's a negotiation, but
and you don't have a lot of time to negotiate either.
What does she have to lose by just sitting back and waiting a few minutes? Like, chew your watermelon, Elaine. Think about it.
Yeah. Plus, you know how much time's left on this. To get a little more information, you could tell that she was just like, when she heard that she could lose her vote, it was like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have accepted this already.
Oh no, there's a downside to this. Yeah, maybe she could have found out.
But
at
4-4, like, and the way that you had to say yes to that.
Oh, for sure. No, it's the right decision. It's taking the game into your own hands. With 4-4, it could go anyway, and it's clear that it's in the back of her head. Like, they're both like. Elaine and Elizabeth are both worried about Missy and Aaron possibly switching over voting just to avoid the rocks. They bring it up later. So it really, like, Elaine has to go for it, for sure. I would go for it. If things go well, it saves her and her entire tribe at Tribal Council. It's almost better than an immunity idol.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
she's a ninja. She can do it.
She can. And it's a lesson about daring. It's a lesson about daring, and Elaine's daring, and it really wins Sandra over. Sandra is very impressed with Elaine and says that Elaine's a contender to win this thing.
Yeah, you could tell that both of the idols really liked her.
Yeah.
And how can you not? And so it's just really fun to see, Sandra doesn't seem like the easiest person to win over either. And so for her to root for her was really fun.
Well, that's what Lairo was worried about on day one, right? They were all worried about Elaine being so likable. And, we've seen a few moments where Elaine just seems so likable. And it does not seem like the old Vokai, new Vokai people are really thinking that Elaine's like a strategic player, that there's more to Elaine than just wrestling,
Yeah.
They really
Lauren definitely thinks that.
Yeah, they really seem to be underestimating her. And that works out really well to her advantage.
That's great for her. And that's something we've talked about on this podcast, where her being so self-deprecating and kind of clueless with things, is it for us, it's obvious, but is it obvious for people on the island? And it doesn't seem so.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Sandra was buying into it back then. And now that she's had a moment, like now Sandra thinks she's a contender.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it. I really like what I'm getting out of Elaine, even though I was very nervous for her in this episode, because it does look like things are going. It's her neck on the line.
Things are going too well. Though.
Yeah, it's her neck on the line, and they're already talking about it's Elaine, because Aaron thinks he can work with Elizabeth better than he can work with Elaine, and for sure he can work better with Missy because they're pretty tight. So, I mean, it's Elaine. It's always been Elaine. He's wanted to get rid of her for a while, so it makes sense, right?
And one thing about Elaine is she does do the self-deprecating. She is fun and likable and relatable to a lot of people, but her head's in the game too. And I think that's something that's underestimated is she knows what's going on in the game and what she needs to do. A lot of other people that are just trying to be likable won't also play the game as hard as she is.
Yeah, she is playing hard. One thing that I do want to talk about before we move on from the Island of the Idols is this shelter thing that Ross and Rob is building.
The 2-story mansion, you mean? It's not even a shelter.
It is not a shelter.
He's going to sell that thing. That thing's going to be on Redfin or like Zillow or something.
It is an actual like building he is creating.
Did he build the ladder too?
Right? Like,
I feel like he did.
I think he did. Yes.
Do you think he like took off some of his from the 30-foot head thing? He took off some of that and built it from that.
Recycling materials.
Yeah.
No, I think it looks like legitimately all like scavenged bamboo, and I believe there are very like specific rules about like you can't cut these things down. You have to find them already down like when you're building it. So there's a lot of work that goes into this thing. I mean, by virtue of it being 2 stories. Now, is this structure like inspected by anybody? Is it safe to go up on that second floor?
Probst does it.
Not saying anything about Boston Rob's like building skills, but like I can't get electrical work done without having the township come out and take a look at it, right? Like,
if it was me, if I'm Sandra, I'm on that first floor. I don't even go on that second floor. And, he said he was going to partition a room off for her because she snores and everything. She better ask for that bottom floor because no matter how great Rob is, I don't trust that.
Yeah. Stay in your room, Sandra. Stay in your room. I love Island of the Idols. I'm really sad we didn't get an Island of the Idols bit last week.
Glad it's back though, especially with Elaine.
It's back.
Elaine was one of those people you're kind of waiting for to see when she gets to Island of the Idols what's going to happen. Yeah. And then this I feel like worked out better than any of the other Island of the Idols. It just was the perfect time.
Yes.
It was a very hard thing to pull off in that challenge. Usually like when they're trying to do stuff, it's when everyone else is focusing on something else. Like they were focusing on something else, but they were in there.
Yes.
They were in close proximity, and I thought that just added more to the stakes that Elaine likes.
Love the stakes. I'd argue that the Vince idol came at the perfect time, exactly when he needed it, but it just wasn't smart enough, or I don't know or brave enough, or too greedy. I don't know why he did not play it there, but he should have played it there.
That's true.
Elaine is not going to make that mistake. Elaine and Elizabeth are very clear.
Yeah, Elizabeth's like, you got to play it tonight.
How can you not play it tonight? Like it's useless. It's going to be useless on pretty much any other night where it's not tied 4-4.
Absolutely.
So it makes sense. So that's how the reward challenge shakes out. And then we have quite a serious moment on the show, and we're going to talk about that right after this. Okay, Lance, we are back, and this is so we're going to talk about a segment here, which is one of my favorite segments of the season so far.
Absolutely.
And that's the segment with Jack and Jamal. So I guess they're having we get a good scene where it's just like the tribe being the tribe, right? Where it's just like they're Jamal showing how to dance, and they're just having
how to dance.
Yeah, they're just having a good time, and I guess they're making food at the same time. And Jack makes what he calls a joke, and his joke is that Jamal should use his do-rag to move the pot from the fire.
Not a good look.
No, it's not. And Jamal kind of calls him out on that immediately. Like, ooh, that's
not just kinda.
Yeah, well, yeah,
he definitely
yeah. No,
called him out.
Yes, he straight up calls him out.
And Jack knew it too. Jack was embarrassed immediately, which is at least he showed awareness there.
Yeah. When Jack got called out on it, Jamal's like, it's time for basically a serious discussion about race. Jack just kind of turns and walks away, and Noura makes a comment about that. Noura picks up on that.
You just can't do that either.
Yeah.
Like, it's just mistake after mistake, and I mean, at first I wanted to give Jack the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he just misspoke or something. But then when he calls it a joke and then a comment, you knew that was something that he was intending. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's defensive on it right away, and I mean, he certainly realizes that he effed up big. And this is, I mean, it's effed, like, he effed up big if this was like the real world, but to add an extra layer on top of it, like as Jamal explains later, he did it on Survivor, which is a social game. And it's like, if this causes damage to their relationship, like, is it permanent damage? Can they work with each other now? Like, it adds a whole new layer of questions, like, just beyond that very important issue where it like starts, right?
Yeah, it compounds it. It obviously is just a totally insensitive thing to say, and it's already bad. And then for it to potentially screw up your game and a friendship and an alliance, like, it's just the total package there. Yeah. So, while it certainly does not look great in the daytime when they're interacting. Later, there's a second scene where it's late at night. It's just the two of them, and they're talking, and they're having like this discussion, like a very important discussion that's like happening all over the internet and in like debates right now about this is the real world. Stuff,
about privilege, specifically white straight men like Jack. Where Jamal's asking him, like, okay, so you understand what it's like to be on the top, but can you imagine what it's like to not be on top? And they have a pretty good moment here. Like, I mean, we wherever it came from with Jack, Jamal says it just really easily flowed off his tongue. It does show like he's at least interested in learning and making some kind of change here, which is great. And it really kind of like it's a pretty big. If you want to compare it to someone, let's compare it to Jack from Big Brother earlier this season, where Jack said some racially insensitive comments as well and was called out on it and on the live finale. And Jack immediately apologized, but the thing that happened was that Kemi, the person whom a lot of the comments were directed to, said, like, you can't apologize until you understand what you're apologizing for.
Absolutely.
Here, Jamal and Jack had this long conversation, and it seems like Jack really does understand what he is apologizing for, which is great. And I think that this scene, like, especially, is something that we probably would not have seen out of Survivor like a couple years ago. Or maybe even last season. Like, this is the
time we're in, and this is something that needed to happen. And I'm really glad that they dedicated the time to do this. And I don't want to give Jack too much credit, but it was really nice that he was self-aware and gave that sincere apology. But this is Jamal's moment. Yeah, like, good on Jamal. He's had to deal with this stuff consciously and subconsciously demeaning him his whole life. And instead of getting angry, instead of holding a grudge or anything, he takes the time to educate Jack, which is just a great moment, and it says a lot about who Jamal is as a person.
Yeah. I like Jamal more with every episode.
Yeah, you don't have much of a 180, like, because the way he was portrayed as lazy and not really contributing to what he is now is a complete 180, and it's really amazing to see.
Yeah, it really kind of flipped the story a little bit, and it seemed to make Jamal maybe work a little bit harder to form these relationships. He's got something going now with Dean. Like, that, would he have done that had things not gone bad with that Molly vote on the first time? Maybe
totally,
not.
Totally.
Maybe he wouldn't have thought he needed Dean.
Sometimes you need to, get a reality check, be grounded a little bit, and it, centers your game. It changes your thought process and everything. So I'm glad all those things are happening for Jamal. And then, not to get too much into race and everything, but it's good that Jack is kind of acknowledging, as a straight white man, that there is white privilege. Like, I think it's something that every straight white person should acknowledge. They have to know those kind of things, no matter what side you're on. Like, that is a real thing.
Yeah, it's an important conversation to have just in real life, but again, like in Survivor, like, it has an impact on the game. Like, it's going to impact the game. Like, it's not gonna necessarily turn them against each other, but it's something that's going to be there. And even Jamal says, like, it's going to take some time. Like, it's going to take some time.
And for him to say it's going to take some time, and then what we think is that night to still go and talk to him.
Yeah.
More props to you, Jamal.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's some honesty, and it's a game where you don't really get a lot of honesty sometimes.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons.
I think
why
they said it in the
moment.
episode. It's nice to have a human moment, and just a sincere, honest moment.
Yeah.
Especially in a game that, like you said, is full of lies.
Yes. Okay. All right. So that was a very, very important segment, and let's follow up into a very important segment game-wise, which is the immunity challenge. So in the immunity challenge, we've got. I mean, obviously, there's this cage. Like, there's a whole bunch of things going on in the immunity challenge, but the main event really is this Elaine moment, right? Where there is a moment where they're untying knots on a table, and Elaine has to reach under the table and grab this advantage. Now, this is something we've seen a few times here in Survivor, where they hide an advantage at a challenge, and the one person knows about it, and they've got to sneak it. It's always a lot of fun because it's a very stressful situation.
It adds just another layer to this whole thing that's already, if it's just an immunity challenge, it's already stressful. And then you just add another layer to it. Nice job, Survivors.
Yeah. But before they even get into the immunity challenge, and I love this, Elaine and Elizabeth have a little talk. So Elizabeth was the first person to ever go to the Island of the Idols, and if you recall, she did not win her little game. She was supposed to make fire against Boston Rob. She got baited into a game she never should have played, and of course she lost her vote at that first challenge. But she does have knowledge of what goes on there, so they get to talk about who'd you meet there? I met Malcolm and Denise. Who'd you meet?
I mean, can it go any better for Elizabeth, who we criticized her for lying and everything, but it hasn't bit her in the butt yet. And now your closest ally, you guys can kind of commiserate with that.
Yeah, and it's really it's a great moment where it's just like almost like the calm before the storm, where Elaine recruits, and I love, first of all, I love that she's able to do it because the rules on no one's supposed to see her do it, so. I love that they're like allowing her to kind of like recruit a little bit of a distraction.
Yeah, that's
in Elizabeth.
I thought that was really great, and to be honest, like I like Elaine and I like Elizabeth, individually. And to see them together as like one of our first real glimpses at their alliance and everything, I love it. Yeah, they are really fun, and they're just a dynamic duo that if they can stick together, that is dangerous. Yeah.
Well, Elaine has some good feelings about her four, and she wants to take this four with her, down the line. And Elaine does not have any idea, as Aaron confirms when Jason asks him about it earlier. Elaine has no idea that the knives are out for her. That Missy and Aaron, without this advantage, are almost certainly going to cut her.
Yeah. This would have been, the first like straight up vote of the season too.
Right. And pretty much every single person from Dean and Karishma, Missy, Aaron, they're of the 6 original Lairo still in the game, like Elaine really is the only one who's still Lairo strong.
Yeah.
Like, even Elizabeth, who probably is, like, she's Elaine's closest ally.
But she would flip too.
Yeah, she's still a part of that 7 strong that the old Vokai people are talking about, that they want to, they want to include her in it. Even though the 2 people that they really think they can work with are Aaron and Missy.
Yeah.
So right away, this challenge, I got really nervous for her in this challenge when she gets the. I mean, it's not a tough. It does not appear like to be super tough to get this.
No. So at first, I thought she did a really good job. It was like, okay, nobody knows or anything, and then the music hit. The music changed a little bit, and you're like, oh crap, what's gonna happen? And
it falls out of her back, and like first thing I was like, oh no, she's not even gonna notice this thing, and she's gonna walk away. She's gonna lose her vote. She thinks she has it, but she doesn't. But somehow she realizes it and goes back and finds it. Now this is high risk like scenario, not like, because the getting it under the table, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But like having to like walk away from the table and wander around the cage,
and then you
just,
get down on the ground and
thing.
Stuff like that's something. Yeah. Obviously, you're so into it, and you probably have tunnel vision during this thing when everything's coursing through you. But you still would think, like peripheral vision, you would notice like somebody going back, somebody going to the ground, and all this stuff.
Well, one thing that I wasn't thinking about at the start of the challenge, but I can't stop thinking about it now, was Lauren. Lauren was sitting out. She was Vokai. She was watching the entire thing.
It's a great point.
There's like, the other people at the table, they're distracted because they're doing knots or they're like their head's in the game, but Lauren's just watching. Like Lauren's head is seeing what's going on with Elaine, right?
That's a great point. I didn't think about that.
But she picks up on nothing here.
Yeah. I wish we had like a picture or like a split screen to see. Was Lauren like biting her nails? Was she like looking around?
Yeah.
Like what was she focusing on? Because that didn't even, enter my thought process, but that is a huge, huge thing that she missed.
And it does look like Lauren is very into this challenge because she is, we get a lot of great reactions from her where she starts getting nervous.
Another reason to do a picture-in-picture of it.
Yeah. And so you'd have to think that she is paying a lot of attention there, but it just does not. She just does not see it. So maybe it's far, maybe it's tricky to see.
Maybe it was just the right angle where those people were kind of blocking and everything. You don't know.
But this could have gone sideways in all sorts of different ways. Elaine gets really lucky here, so before we go into what do we think of the rest of the challenge here? This dig under. We have to dig under a cage, right? We have to get inside the cage. Then we need to start moving the cage. This is something new and unusual.
I thought it was really great because it's so much teamwork.
Yes.
And right now it's all about the team and everything. It's all about the tribe. And this is straight teamwork. You even see Jamal yelling, "I don't have a corner," because you need everybody. It's not just one person that can carry it for you. So I thought it was a really fun challenge. They added a lot of different things, and then they're really sticking with that basketball theme this season.
Yeah. Good for lucky Dean.
If
Dean...
Big Brother was like a bird theme season, this is definitely a basketball theme season.
Yeah. It turns out it was the right decision to keep Dean after all. Not that they knew a basketball part was coming up, but
that's what Dean does though. Like when you are a shorter white guy that goes to Ivy League, you're shooting threes. That's really what you're doing. You're not driving to the hoop.
Yeah, he is not he is not even 6 foot, right?
I don't think so.
I think he's like 5'10" maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, he's and to be fair, a lot of these baskets that they're trying to shoot are very high up in the air.
These are high and far, and then you have to also get it over, which you had to get it over anyways.
Yeah.
But you got to get enough altitude on it and everything. So it's not easy. And so you even see the basketball shooters, they do pretty well, but then they lose it while Jamal is going the one-handed route.
Yeah, it's you can kind of tell like how hard it is by the first few shots when Dean kind of sinks that first one, it looks like just a typical basketball shot, right? Where he's doing that. But once they're trying to get the ones all up there in the upper tier, which they look like maybe 15 feet in the air, maybe more. Like that's a very tall
and
thing.
You don't have like since it's slanted, you can't really use the backboard too much because, as you saw, Jamal kind of bounced off because he was going too hard. And then, Aaron just had some, Aaron, the most unlucky bounces.
He had a lot of great looking shots. Like Jeff even was ready to call the challenge over, but it just kind of hits the wrong angle.
This is one of those ones where usually you can kind of, they lost it, they won it, they choked it away. I don't think this was a choke. I think that was just so unlucky. It just kind of felt like there was a force field around that last kind of basket,
Yeah. And Vokai, again, it's like the story of the season. Vokai builds up a huge lead going into this part of it. And they just really can't capitalize on it. And it's part because Dean and Jamal are so good at this part of the challenge. Like I think you have to hand the win to Lairo and not say Vokai lost, Lairo won.
Absolutely.
Which is Jeff is besides himself. Jeff can't believe it. Lairo somehow winning.
Why was this not the one time that Probe said this is the biggest comeback ever or anything like that? Because this actually was a huge comeback.
It was.
Come on, me.
Yeah, rather than get excited about it, Jeff just kind of oh, how sad is this? They finally won one. It's like a pity win. Congratulations.
And then they're just beast mode, whatever.
Yeah. So Dean does it for Lairo. Who would have thought that Dean would come through and be the hero here? But that's gotta help him. That's gotta help him a little bit with the. Because he's not going home. Because otherwise, it's got to be Dean going home, right?
Yeah.
So
unless Noura can rally the troops, which
well.
You couldn't even get through that. I said that, and you just went straight into cracking up.
I mean, it looks like she's going to keep trying, and bless her, because that's what she does. She's just going to keep throwing stuff against the wall.
She might not win, but I don't think she's going to go home with regrets or anything. She's going to play her game.
She is such a fantastic. She has a fantastic character, a great play, not a great player, but a great Survivor contestant, just a great person to watch.
A great watch, absolutely.
Yes, a fantastic watch. We are never going to forget Noura. And it is, I am so glad that Lairo fell apart, because if Lairo did not fall apart, Noura would have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with Noura. We got a little bit in the future episode.
I'm worried about
it. It looks like
next
Noura's still going to give it the good old try.
She's trying to make her power move, and I can't tell the future, but I feel like it's going to backfire.
Yeah. Well, she's got a great strategic mind. Like, she realizes what she's got to do, but she's got absolutely no social capital to get anything done.
The execution is lacking.
Yeah. I mean, she's talking to Dean, who's like hanging on by a thread, and even Dean's like, "Nah, I don't need your help. I don't need your help. I'll look elsewhere." So
that's when you know it's a bad spot.
It's not great. It's not great. But it's a good for them. They get the night off, a rare night off, and it sends Vokai to Tribal Council with this 4-4 split. Which first of all, it's going to be a fantastic watch, even without this advantage in the mix. But now the advantage is in the mix, and the Lairo folks have a 4-3 advantage, and they can get it done if they want to get it done. The question is, do they want to get it done? Because it looks like Aaron is still not sure. It looks like Aaron's still kind of playing Lauren a little bit, playing Elaine a little bit, saying like, no, this is great. And when he gets told about this advantage, he does not seem like he is like, "Oh yeah, we did it, yes." He's like very like, "Oh, this is making things a lot more complicated." It's like a very muted kind of like, "Oh, that's good."
It was like, "Ah, crap." But it was funny. Like, when Elaine goes up to him, "Do you love me?" He's like, "Yeah, yes." And then Missy's more excited, but it's also like you can see like the wheels are just moving, especially in Aaron. The wheels are just moving in his head.
Yeah, and I think like Missy has that moment too, where it's like she's not like at first it's like not really excited, but then she kind of like, okay. She like just kind of like,
it's a build-up.
I feel like she works herself up a little bit. Like she's kind of like working herself up a little bit to make a show to Elaine.
She built herself up, Buttercup.
Yeah, that's right. It's good. So even though Elaine thinks she has all this power, it's actually Aaron. Aaron is the one who is kind of flexing his muscle here.
It's not just that.
He decides to go home.
He's playing coy too. Like,
yeah,
it was a very well edited Aaron episode. He is a pretty good actor apparently too.
Yes.
So I thought they were kind of leading us one way to go the other way, which is what ended up happening. But when you're in that moment, you really have no idea which way this is going to go, and it's so fun.
Yeah. I absolutely loved it because even though Elaine had this advantage, the moment that they head back to discuss who's going home, Elaine's still on the chopping block. Like she's not safe here, which is fantastic. Like it just makes for so much drama.
Yeah, it could go. I mean, when you're walking into it, or not us, but when they're walking into it, like it could go any single way. And they even kind of showed that like sequence of like everybody was on the chopping block kind of thing, and that was awesome.
Yeah, like
it's so great when it's nice when there's a blind side and when there's like two people up for it, but when everybody's in play, oh my god.
Yeah. So let's. I want to talk a little bit more about that because we do have some really great confessional moments where they're talking about pretty much everybody who could possibly go home, and we're going to get right into that right after this. Okay, so we are back, and we are talking about this huge decision here, where really it's Aaron in the driver's seat, probably Missy too. I feel like definitely. They're kind of, you would expect them to likely vote together here.
They're a fun team, and that's a team. I hope we get to see more of the dynamics of their relationship.
Yeah,
kind of who's running that. It feels like, not to disparage anybody, I feel like Missy kind of is like in the leadership role there, even though they're very close. I still think Missy kind of edges him out and makes like a final decision thing.
I could see that. Certainly they're both, very A-type people who are, they both want to run things the way they want to run things.
There are people, if they stick together, it's really interesting, but also if they split, it's very interesting.
Well, it seems like their interests are aligned for the most part here going forward, that they're working together, and
they got to stick together till at least the merge.
Yeah, and they're both kind of in a position where they're both like those, like I said, like A-type people, but they're A-type people in the minority, and that's a very dangerous place to be, because that's kind of like the first person you want to target. Absolutely. Like someone who's going to be a leader, someone who's going to rally the minority together and stay Lairo strong, even though there's no good reason to stay Lairo strong, right?
Yep.
So that's very worrying. But it looks like Missy and Aaron were putting in a lot of work, not just in these last couple days here in this episode, but probably the moment they switched, where they were talking talking about like Lairo is dead. You know, they're bashing Lairo every chance they can get. And they're very interested in being part of this Vokai tribe moving forward, right? But you know, it's should he do this? Should he not do this? That's kind of the big question here, Lance. So, I mean, obviously we know what happens, but do we think Aaron made the right decision? Now, ultimately, Aaron decides to stick with Elaine here moving forward, but he could very well have not. Did he make the right call here, Lance?
I think he did. I think you got to stick with your tribe for now, because if you turn on them, you're probably at the bottom with the Vokai, and then your other tribe hates you. Like, obviously, this wasn't the perfect episode for Aaron, because being that swing vote, he pissed off a lot of people. A lot of people, and even, you know, we'll get into it, but Jason, when he gets voted out, even says, don't trust Aaron. But I still, despite all those things, I think you got to stick with that and not make more enemies, potentially on both sides. What do you think?
So for me, it's not that easy of a call, and it's hard to say that yes, he made the right move, or no, he made the wrong move without knowing how it all turns out. But on the balance, like, I am not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of it. I think for Elaine and Elizabeth, it's the right move for sure. Like, there's, without a question, like, they need to do it. But I feel like Missy and Aaron have been putting in a lot of work to try to build trust with these folks, right? And in Survivor recently, in recent seasons, we typically merge around 13 people left in the game. So 7 or 6 is kind of a magic number here. 6 is the number of people where you're guaranteed to be in a minority at the merge. And already Lairo is down to 6. So no matter what happens from here on out, as long as they merge at 13, Lairo is going to be down in the numbers. So Aaron says he's thinking 3 moves ahead here, rather than just trying to keep himself safe for tonight. But is he, like, it makes sense for tonight, because, like, this is a safe move here, right? To just go with the 4 to 3 numbers. But what happens the next week, or more realistically, what happens at the merge once they no longer have the numbers, and will likely will never have the numbers again in the game, and just kind of be relying on Vokai folks and their bonds with them, try to pick which side of the Vokai split they want to go on. And now it looks like, that because they're making it seems like they're making a lot of assumptions about what Lairo can do at the merge. And Karishma's already jumped ship. Dean, I mean, it looks like he's already jumped ship.
I think you make great points, and I think in a vacuum that makes a ton of sense. But I do think once Aaron hits that merge, he's the number 1 target.
So he's in trouble either way.
Exactly. So I think for him, this was his moment where he had to draw a line in the sand. He had to pick a side. And I think, like you said, I think short term it made a ton of sense. I think in the long term, he's going to be a target no matter what. So I think him sticking with his tribe and his people, I think makes sense.
If we were talking about Jamal being kind of like arrogant going into that vote where he got blindsided, I think you have to say the same about the Vokai 4 here. Because they kind of go into tribal council without any question that it's going to be a 4 to 4. We are 4 strong. They are almost certainly not. We're fine. Tommy kind of makes that pitch, and everybody on that tribe, they one by one, they all say at tribal council that they're willing to go to rocks. Clearly Aaron and Missy have been laying the groundwork to not go to rocks for a while now. So
I think everyone even noticed that. Like, that's why I thought it was a really smart move for Elaine and Elizabeth to tell them about the advantage before it was too late. I was hoping that was going to happen, because the way that we've seen everything, they're ready to jump. It's going to happen. And so them doing that saved everything too. So another smart move by the Double E's.
The Double E's.
I don't know if that's a good nickname, but whatever.
The Double E's. Elaine and Elizabeth. The Double E's. Okay. All right. Why not?
Right? The L's?
Yeah. So before we head to tribal council, like I think you were saying before the break, we do have these moments where everybody's talking, everybody on Lairo is talking about the Vokai people still in the game. And they have this opportunity here to basically pick who they want to get rid of. Which, like, again, this is a very rare scenario. They will likely not have this power, once the merge happens. So, this is their shot. So they've got to make sure, if they're going to do it, it's got to be the right person. So the people, Dan is on the blog because Dan is sketchy. Missy notices that Dan goes through bags.
Dan got caught feeling up something, huh?
Yeah. Dan's getting handsy with the bags. So Dan's kind of on the block here. Lauren, Elizabeth kind of points out that Lauren adds absolutely nothing to her game. That Lauren won't protect her moving forward.
I think we like Lauren.
Yeah.
She's had a pretty strong start. This was by far her worst sequence that we've seen on Survivor.
Yeah.
She doesn't think Elaine's smart enough to have an idol. Like, I don't even know what that means.
It's these things are handed out like candy on the show. Like anybody can get an idol. Chris Noble a genius? He got an idol.
Where does intelligence really fit into? I don't get that at all. And Elaine, maybe she's not the smartest person, but she understands the game and relationships and what's going on. So I thought that was really weird. Yeah. And then for her to just go straight up to Lauren and Missy and ask if they had anything. That was very weird.
That was weird, and that was a little weird and awkward. Yeah. And also weird and awkward on Missy and Elizabeth's part, because it looked like they were really.
They're bad. No one was getting their bad line.
Everybody was kind of like.
Do I?
Yeah. Is there anything that I should know about this going before, unless there's something
actually there is. Let me tell you everything. Yeah. Like, come on.
Well, we weren't going to tell you about the idol, but there's an idol. So and then again at tribal council, Lauren kind of just breaks down into tears. The stress, I guess, of the 4-3 possibility of going home here.
That one really threw me off because I didn't really understand it. I wasn't sure if this was maybe acting job or what it was, but they kind of moved on from it quick too.
I don't know if it was acting. It just kind of felt like felt like there's I don't know whether it's like frustration or almost like a child crying, because they it was in their hands and now it's gone, and now everything just fell apart, and I was running the game and now I'm going home. Maybe it's completely out of her hands, and I can see how I would want to cry at that point. That's
I think I think you're right, because I think you're going into this thing very confident, and when Elaine's music hits, and she's got that smirk on her face, and she pulls it out, and everyone's face just drops to the floor and everything. You get all these emotions in you, and you see it with everybody. This is their dream. Jason, this is his dream. Lauren, this is their dream. And for that you just know it's coming.
Yeah.
I don't blame her for crying. It's just, man, it's a tough situation, but what a fun twist that was.
Yeah. So apparently Elaine does not like rocks. That is what she explains to them. When she pulls out her
quote master,
she pulls out her advantage, and so when she pulls out her advantage, I have another heart attack over this whole thing. Elaine's just causing me so much stress with how she's playing the game, because the moment she brought it out early, she did bring it out early. I was like, that is not something you should. I don't like that at all. I don't like that. I feel like it's much better if you just spring it on them. No?
Yeah, totally. Because she's just very lucky that Missy and Aaron stayed with it, because that was a live tribal. It was crazy, and that it was too early. But God, that smirk on her face when everyone's like, we're gonna go to rocks and everything, and it's just when's she gonna do this? And for her to do it then, it was an Onions move.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, oh crap, she's going home no matter what. She's gonna play this advantage and she's going home, and luckily it didn't happen.
Yeah, even Sandra was biting her nails. She was on the edge of her seat. She was like, I hope she got it.
This was another I gotta say, Island Idols is great.
Yeah.
But I'm loving having Rob and Sandra watching, because they're us. They're our ciphers. We're watching it through them, and to see how excited they are, because they're fans too.
Yeah.
To see how excited they are, and I hope she found the advantage. Suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah.
All these lines, Sandra biting her nails and stuff. This is all so fun to watch for people that we've all enjoyed, and you can just tell they love the game.
Yeah, and even when Tommy makes that pitch that, hey, we're gonna be 7 strong moving forward, Rob kind of calls him out. He's selling the Kool-Aid, and I hope they don't drink it.
Yeah.
So Rob clearly has Rob's clearly of the opinion that Lairo should stay Lairo strong here. But it's interesting that is not the conclusion that the Lairo people come to. And we see a little bit in that the what's coming next week, where all of a sudden, like, and this week too, Missy said, like, oh, we're running the game now. And Aaron next week says basically the same thing, like, we're in control now. And that is true for
Those
next
are
week, right?
Also famous last words.
Yeah, that's true for next week. I don't know if it's true after next week. If they do merge at 13, it would be not next week, but the week after. And they're in trouble then.
Unless they pull off back-to-back Immunity Challenge victories.
Yes, if we go to...
Unlikely. But...
Right. Well, first of all, like, you would need to go to that Immunity Challenge at 13 and still stay as two tribes. Could happen. You know, there's no reason why it couldn't. Mm-hmm. They do, like, throwing in little twists and unexpected things in here. You know, not as frequently as Big Brother does, but, you know, Jeff still likes himself a surprise twist. You know?
Sure do.
Yeah. But even if they decide, like, okay, now that we have the majority, let's throw the next Immunity Challenge. Let's force ourselves to go. That way we can vote off another Vokai, bring it to 7-6. And then maybe if they're going one more time, they could throw it again. But then maybe Lairo's also trying to throw it at the same time.
Ooh, we get a throw-off.
Could we have a throw-off going on? Like, I don't know.
I hope that doesn't happen. We've had such a good season. Yeah. I don't need to see people throwing comps or anything. I see it enough in the challenge.
We've seen it, and we see it a lot in Big Brother 19, and we've seen it in Survivor before. And Jeff does not like it. Jeff does not. Jeff has opinions about people who are quitters and people who throw things.
Just like TJ.
And he's not a big fan. Speaking of not a big fan, Tommy looks absolutely infuriated.
Tommy just stares
at
a hole through Aaron's soul.
Yeah, Tommy is not ready to suck it up, Buttercup. Tommy is ready to hold some grudges. And it's really like such a huge turnaround for him because we saw in the previous episode where he is working, like he wants to work with Aaron. Like they had this thing going. And, you know, during the vote, like Tommy's like things are good, right? And Aaron's like, yeah, things are good. Of course we're doing this. And then he doesn't do it.
Good for Aaron to kind of stick with that and everything. The one thing, this was my tell, that it was not good for Jason. Jason, after voting, he puts his hand out for a fist bump, and Aaron just leaves him hanging. I'm like, Jason's going home.
Ouch. That is no good. That
was the nail in the coffin for me.
Yeah. Really, poor Jason here. This is a real tough way to go out.
Survivor of the Week 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And he even said it in his exit interview, like, I thought I had my finger on the pulse, and he did. Mm-hmm. Like, he was playing a really strong game. But Missy said it in one of the previous tribal councils. Sometimes a stray bullet just gets you.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough way to go out, but he does go out kind of like not necessarily like as a hero, but he goes out on a high note where he's saying goodbye to his tribe, and he's like, I am so glad you all stuck with me, because that was not clear that would have happened like on day one, where they were kind of against him from the jump, really, that he worked his way back in. And that it wasn't really his own social skills or lack thereof or whatever it was that got him knocked out of this game.
It was being a threat.
It's really, it's being a threat, that they're concerned that he is kind of a strategic mastermind, and that he would be great for Vokai moving forward.
Totally.
So is he the right person to get rid of? Did they choose of the four that they could have gotten rid of? They went from Jason. Was that the right move?
I think I would have either gone Jason or Tommy.
Yeah.
With that, I think I might have gone Tommy just because of the relationship he had with Aaron and everything. But either one of those, I felt like those are the two strongest players of those four. Yeah. So I was fine with either of those. But you know, I think I would have leaned Tommy.
I think I'm with you. I as well. If I'm on that Lairo and I have to choose which of those four to get rid of, I'm going to choose Tommy. First of all, because Tommy is a physical threat. Like he is fantastic in these challenges. You know, he won that basketball part of the challenge last week, and you know he they almost pulled through this time with his help, right? And Jason, meanwhile, if he is a kind of a schemer or a strategic mastermind, like that's probably the kind of person, as someone in the minority, you want to keep around, because he's more likely to want to figure out a way to work with the minority to take out threats on his side, because he's probably playing a much faster game, a much less loyal game than Tommy's probably going to play moving forward. Like I would expect Tommy to just stick with Vokai.
Yeah, if you're Aaron and Missy, having Jason kind of in your back pocket is such a strong asset to have.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're on the same page there. I would have taken out Tommy.
I hate when we agree.
Yeah, it's weird, right? I don't like it either. Okay.
Poor Jason though.
So yeah, poor Jason. But is he the goat of the week? Well, let's find out, Lance. I think it's time. I think it's time to start talking about our survivor of the week and our goat of the week. You want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'll start with the goat of the week. I'm going to go Lauren, Tommy, and Dan.
Okay.
They're the leftovers of the tribe. They were ready to go rocks. Instead, they lost their, they were going to get people to flip over, and they lost all that, and now they're down 4-3. It can't go much worse than that. It wasn't a good episode for Lauren. Tommy got saved just because of how it went and everything, but, man, it's hard to have a worse episode than those three, and just to see their faces and their, stomachs churn when, Elaine busts out the advantage.
Yeah.
They're the goats.
It's got to be one of the hardest tribals that they will ever go to in this game. I mean, surely there are going to be some very stressful ones coming up in the end game, but this is really this is stress where they were not expecting stress to show up.
And you're already stressed out because we're going to rocks. Man, somebody's going to go home, but then it's okay, this just narrowed down to 4 instead of 8.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good call.
What about your goat?
So my goat of the week is also the same tribe, but I'm gonna say it's Aaron. I mean, he's safe here. He makes the power move. He is the person who decides how this vote goes, and I think he gets it wrong. I think he burns a whole bunch of bridges here. And his decision to stick with Elaine, I don't know how much Elaine's going to do. I don't think she's going to do much for him moving forward. They're good now. And maybe if they get in trouble next week, they're good next week because they've got that 4-3 advantage. But once it's there, I think he just did a lot of work making sure that the Vokai people will stick together. Because, otherwise you expect the Lairo tribe to be dead. And you're not expecting them to try to get back together. You're not expecting them to try to, rally the troops and swing the numbers because the numbers are so bad. It's going to be really hard to do that. But if they're trying, you got to just stick together, right?
Yeah, I do. You make some really good points. And it's, for me, looking forward, Aaron is one of the most interesting players. I said this last week too, but how he tries to salvage everything, how he tries to rebuild those, bridges, those burned bridges and everything. If he can get Tommy back on his side, it's not so bad, but he burned a lot of bridges, and it's not a great thing for him.
They've got a solid 4 going. Aaron has built a pretty good 4 moving forward because I think this move, Elaine and Elizabeth, they're going to stick together.
Yeah, but he was ready to cut one of them, and
right.
He's going to be ready to cut him again.
You got to imagine that that's going to come out soon, probably immediately after the vote. Hey, Elaine, just so you know, the plan for the last 3 days was to get rid of you, and the only reason why you're still here is you found an advantage. I think that would be the first thing that I would explain to Elaine.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a lot of conflict there, and I think that if they are 4 strong going into the merge, I think they're going to wind up in a 9 versus 4 scenario where it's going to be pretty much everybody against them. Because I don't think Dean and Karishma are switching back. I don't think it makes any sense for them to switch back.
No.
And why would you switch back to join a 6 against a 7 or a 5 against an 8? I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to do that at all. I think Dean's in a great position where he is. Why would you want to switch back?
Yeah.
So,
and like I said, Karishma's not going back either.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue that also Missy may be a loser here as well, but Missy's not the person who gets called out. Like you said, when Jason leaves, it's don't trust Aaron.
Yeah.
And it's not don't trust Aaron and Missy. It's don't trust Aaron. So, I mean, that's what puts him over the top. Aaron's my go to the week.
It's so tough for Aaron because he kind of had to do that. You can't just tell people no, we're not on the same page.
He's playing in a bad position. It's not a great position.
It was a lose-lose kind of thing for him.
But I just think all things being equal, he makes the wrong move here.
I have an honorary goat too.
Okay.
Jack.
Okay, yeah.
You never want to be that guy.
It makes sense. Yeah, that is not good. That is not good. You don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. And then Survivor of the Week, I've got 2.
Okay. Who we got?
I'm going to go with Elaine.
Okay.
She's the Joker.
That's
who she is. She introduced a little chaos, and it all worked out.
Yeah.
So, and even after all that, Aaron is the bigger bad guy, the bigger villain out of all this and stuff. So Elaine kind of comes out of this almost unscathed.
Yeah, I feel like Elaine's position even improves here. She goes from the surefire boot to if they go back to tribal next week, it's not going to be her. Even if they get to the merge, I don't know if it's going to be her either because they're so upset at what Aaron did. And, maybe Missy is, maybe because she's working with them, maybe she's a target. Elaine is someone that they're not worried about being a super physical threat, like try to sit her out. So she's not going to be that person.
And they don't think she's very smart either.
Yeah, they're really underestimating her. Maybe they won't moving forward
estimate
because
her now.
Now she is going to be fully estimated. But I think it really, I think you're right. Like she just makes out so well here. Yeah.
What about your survivor of the week?
My survivor of the week. First of all, like I love the choice of Elaine. Like that's a great choice.
I stole yours, did I?
You did. But I think if we got to go on the other tribe, if Aaron makes the absolute wrong play here, I think Dean actually makes the absolute correct play, where Dean has the opportunity to work with Noura and kind of side with the Vokai, the people against, people working against the Vokai majority, and maybe keeping Lairo together at the merge and working with Noura. Then he makes the call at it's time to work with Jamal. And I think that's the right move for him moving forward. He's for sure not going to have the numbers going into the merge. He's going to need to work with somebody, and now he's got someone to work with. So I think it's a fantastic episode for him.
That's a great call. He wasn't really on my radar for Survivor of the Week, but you opened my eyes a little bit.
Yeah,
so good call. And then I'm gonna go
anti-Aaron.
Anti-Aaron. I like that. Aaron.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go my honorary Survivor of the Week.
Okay.
Jamal.
Okay.
And not sure you can have a better episode. He comes up clutch in immunity challenge. He educates Jack after his insensitive joke. And he's really turned around the narrative on his whole game, his whole season and stuff. So it's hard to pick a Survivor of the Week, so I picked two.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. Jamal has an absolutely fantastic week, and I think, his position in the game is improving as well. Even though he has this moment of conflict with Jack here, it does seem like they do patch things up, and they're going to move forward together. And he picks up a new ally this week. Plus he's going to be able to, he loses Jason, and is that someone he was working with necessarily? I don't know. I don't know that he was.
I think the only negative from this episode is Noura wants to take him out.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't scare me.
I think that's the only negative, but I don't know that she's going to be able to do anything, because it looks like she's trying in the next week episode. But who can work with her? Can you work with? I don't know if I could work with her.
Dean can't.
I'd love to hang out with her and talk with her for a while, but I don't know that I could
drink some poo water with her.
Drink some poo water. I don't know if I could go. 15 votes with her on my side. I don't know. She's gonna mess it up somewhere. She's gonna mess it up somewhere.
Yeah, odds are that's probably what would happen.
Yeah. So I think that's where we are. So. Okay. We got a lot to look forward to next week. I don't know whether it's going to be. It seems to be that maybe Lairo is going to head back, but we'll see.
If I was a betting man, which I am, I would bet on that.
Yeah. We had an idea that it was going to be Vokai going to tribal this week, and just enough of the preview may give me the feeling that's back to Lairo. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like that immunity challenge was so close, and they needed that huge comeback just to do that. Yeah, I think it's not looking good for Lairo.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes next week, and hopefully you will join us back here next week when we talk about that.
I won't be joining you.
Well, you're not going to be joining us.
No.
Are you going to visit Fiji's and Applebee's in Fiji?
I'm doing the Applebee's World Tour.
Applebee's World Tour.
Yeah, where I have a shark bowl at every Applebee's.
Oh my goodness, this is breaking news. Yeah. All right, well you're going to have to come back with a full report. We'll see how I manage without you here, man. Oh no.
Pray for my stomach.
Yeah.
While I
That's good. All right.
I'll eat those fajitas.
Yes. Pray for Lance's stomach.
Prayers up.
Yeah. So the survivors have it rough, but nobody has it as rough as Lance is going to have it next week on vacation, I guess. Anyway.
Still waiting for that Applebee's sponsorship.
Yeah. No, they haven't slid in my DMs either.
Come on,
and we said so many great things about them last
Definitely
week.
nice things.
Yeah. I don't know that anybody. I don't know that anybody at Applebee's heard it, because I didn't get in trouble. I feel like I would have gotten into trouble.
Nobody listens to us. So.
No, that's good, right? No, it's good. It's good. Thank you for listening. You're the only one.
Thanks, Mom.
Hey, but if you would like to, the one person who is listening, if you would like to listen to us next week, Lance and I recommend that you go over to your favorite podcasting app. Go to Google Podcasts, go to Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify, go to Stitcher, go to TuneIn, and follow us. Follow us on your favorite and subscribe to the podcast. Get it every week. You'll get it a little bit sooner than the rest of the world, which is a nice little bonus. And if you really like our show, as you should, because we are wonderful people, you should totally leave a review for us. 5 stars, please. 4 stars get people fired. 5 stars only. Yeah.
That's nice. You think we're wonderful people. That's a wasn't expecting that. But yeah, 5 stars onars.
Just compliments all over the place for you.
Even
Lance,
if you hate us, you can write it like the meanest comment ever. But as long as it's 5 stars, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, the stars are the important thing. Yeah. The stars are the important thing.
I mean, we're the stars, but the other stars.
That's right. That's right. And speaking of stars, I would just want to remind everybody that that TV Guide has a brand new podcast out there. You heard a little bit about it last week, but it's called All I Want for Christmas Is This Podcast, and it's hosted by Julia Lechner, a good friend of Lance's and mine,
and friend of the pod,
and friend of the pod. Absolutely, she visited us for a moment last week, and if you're interested in holiday movies, those Lifetime Christmas specials, all those good things, you're going to want to follow that one. And you're going to want to follow that one because I'm a guest on a coming episode.
Ooh.
So you get to hear me talk about Christmas.
Gotta listen to that.
It's going to put you in the season.
I'm not on it yet, but
now that Halloween's over, got to start thinking about the holidays just right around the corner.
Yeah, it's Christmas season now.
Yeah. All right. So I think that about wraps us up for this week. Lance, about to head off and see if there's any pizza left over from that Halloween party. And
Fresh Brothers.
Yeah, nothing I like more than pizza that's been sitting out for a while.
I hate to say this,
more
Fox.
Survivor than that.
I hate to say this, but I got nothing for you.
Oh no. None of the fixins. None of the fixins coming. All right. Well, hey, thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you back here next week. I'll see you back here next week. Lance will. Good. Who knows where Lance will be?
Some Applebee's.
But for now, it's Fox Van Allen saying goodbye. Here you go. Have some candy.
You got to pick that up now. Bye.